The pandemic has taken a toll on the world economy, and talks about financial literacy have been going around more frequently, given, of course, the challenging situation involving livelihoods and the critical need for people to have sufficient savings to survive rainy days. This particularly points at youths who have become more vulnerable economically, and what is more concerning is their low level of financial literacy. Hence, this calls for practical action plan, and it needs to start from the core foundation of society. No guesses, that begins with education. A study conducted by the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, the OECD, on 26 countries, including Malaysia, has shown that overall financial literacy is already at an all-time low. Specifically with youth aged between 18 and 29, financial literacy appears to be at a lower level. All this on the back of poor financial knowledge and less prudent financial behavior. Joining us via Skype right now is Pang Kayu, Vice President of External Relations and Publicity at the Malaysian Financial Planning Council. Hi Pang, thanks for joining me. Now, just last week in the news, the Finance Minister made this statement based on Bank Negara's findings that 47% of Malaysian youths are spending beyond their means and have high credit card debts. Now, even prior to this, between the years of 2015 and 2019, about 85,000 Malaysians below the age of 25 were declared bankrupt. What are the top reasons for this pattern, Pang?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I think the main reason is obviously is the poor financial literacy, as you just mentioned, and of course from that part itself, then it will lead into a poor financial discipline. When we talk about poor financial discipline, of course, we are touching on the awareness aspect itself. That actually changed the way that the attitude towards the spending. Because when you don't have a very conscious way of spending, then you tend to probably get excited, attracted from a lot of unneeds kind of expenses, because we always want to differentiate by the broad needs versus the one. Especially when you talk about a lot of personal kind of budgeting, it's not been well taken care of and loosely being bombarded by a lot of advertisement and spending. Then obviously you're not keeping your own budget in the right way. So
right, Pang, I'm going to jump in here just to reiterate what you said. You said conscious way of spending. What do you mean by this? How do we consciously spend money and spend that
I
well?
think broadly we can actually categorize the way that you spend. If you spend it in the right way, especially we are talking about education kind of loan, and getting a house. I think this is a very good way of investing for ourselves. This is good, and this is an essential needs kind of spending. Then obviously we actually a lot of time we misalign and miss a balance of those one spending. One spending is it's got to do with a lot of personal preference spending, lifestyle spending, entertainment, kind of spending. So I think
Pang, what we know at this point, what we know that amongst the main reasons for bankruptcy at a young age are the 5 series loans. So you've got everything from personal education, which you take on quite early on in life, and then you've got your car loan, you've got your home loan, and then the evil of them all, in my personal opinion, the credit card loan. But if we sort of, track back a little, traditionally and by culture, financial stability is such an important component in the upbringing or background of most Asian families. I'm sure in your family as well as it was in mine. What is the scenario like if we look at the region or even within the Southeast Asia region? Pang.
Okay, when we just study the entire region itself, of course, some of the country are doing slightly better than our country. Like country like in Hong Kong, Taiwan, or even in Singapore, when we talk about the household debt versus GDP as a benchmark, they've been capping it below the level of 60% of the GDP, as not as compared to like Malaysia. I think currently we are in a very alarming stage. It's actually crossing 80%. So I think I think comparing some of the country, some of the advanced countries within the ASEAN region like Singapore, Taiwan, even Hong Kong, I think the way that they actually propel financial literacy and actually educate financial planning to the people, I think there's something that we can look up for.
Okay, while we try to get that rolling, in the meantime, how do we create an awareness about financial literacy when there seems to be a general scarcity of funds? I mean, how do we consciously spend money when we don't even have that money to begin with?
I think I just touched a point on consciousness in terms of your personal finance, because it is all about balancing act that we need to do. If you spend your future earnings or future earning itself, you have a lot of mountains of debts that you need to obligate for yourself in the near future and for your family. So I think that part itself, we have to be very clear what we want to achieve end of the day. Short-term excitement, forgo for the long-term suffering and responsibility that we need to strike a balance. So I think mindset.
Right, Pang. I mean that balance is also difficult to strike at this point. What can be done in the near future or in the short term to bring about or promote financial education amongst the youth, given that this is already the situation we are in now? I.e., do you think we should bring financial education into the education syllabus or the system at a very young age at that?
I think yes, definitely, for sure. Because you see, when we need to explore and giving the chance to open up the young mind, how to manage their finances in the right way, it have to be from the younger days and even in a primary stage, so that
Pang, based on that, not much time left on the clock. What is your message to Malaysians, especially, of course, with our conversation here in mind, to the youth of Malaysia in terms of financial education and financial planning?
I think state a very good priority on the resources to allocate into a very productive towards your own personal development, especially in terms of education, because that will enhance your earning ability in the near future. So put the right resources at the right point so that you will excel and eventually will climb up to a better well-being for the personal development as well as the family. I think this is the root of success.
Thank you very much, Pang Kayu, Vice President, External Relations and Publicity at the Malaysian Financial Planning Council. Thank you for the word of advice and weighing in, and of course, a very worrying issue with regards to Malaysian youth and financial education or financial literacy. Now, here are some points, worrying stats around the issue we've been talking about. Nearly 29% of youth only realize the importance of emergency funds under the recent movement control order, and nearly 60% are unable to survive beyond 3 months. Almost 47% spend exactly or beyond their earnings, as we've discussed, and almost half of the youth of Malaysia have not started saving for